Welcome to Gamer Ability, everybody. I'm your host Sixpenny, and I'm back with another PGA Tour 2K21 gameplay tutorial video. We have a special guest today. The #1 Divot Derby player in the world, Jivesinator, has over 100 wins, and it's gonna come and provide you tips as we're playing. If you enjoy this video, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel, but make sure before you go to Jivesinator's twitch.tv/Jivesinator. Link is in the comments down below and is up there on the screen. Alright, so I have Jives on the line. Jives, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good.
Alright, thank you for coming out and helping us. We need to learn from the #1 player. So for anybody out there, so maybe you're watching this video, it just popped up on the feed and you never played the game, be sure to check out, I have plenty of tutorials for this game down in the description below if you're new to this. But like Jive said, the good thing about this mode, it doesn't matter how good your shots are, you're trying to get it in as quickly as possible. So when you're moving into the first tee, Jives, when on any of the tee boxes, how do you approach that drive?
Well, whenever you're on the tee, like with the exception of some par 3s where you can get into some big trouble, there's not really much of a way you're gonna lose the hole just off that first tee. You can still come back from there, even if you're in the rough or in the middle of the woods even. You can get through, and pretty much every hole except for the last couple, there's gonna be enough slots open for you, especially if you're not quite in a full lobby, because you can hit shots very, very quickly, and a lot of players could be just in the same position as you, finding themselves in the trees or in the rough. So when I'm on the tee, I almost always hit it as soon as possible, because there's no real reason to like aim or anything, because the game sets you up somewhere that you're gonna like to be in. There are some cases on some holes where maybe I don't do that, but that is more of a course knowledge thing than anything. Most of the time, just hit the shot as soon as you can off the tee, because there's not going to be a lot of trouble you can run yourself into off the tee.
Yeah, and that's a great point. You know, being in the fairway in this mode, it doesn't really matter as much. But if you do find yourself in the rough, in the bunker, what do you do, Jives? What's kind of the strategy?
Well, I mean, it's very much dependent on what percentage you have out of that lie. And a lot of the times it's not really going to be worth it to look at that. Like, unless you know it's going to come down to the wire and you're going to have to hit it as soon as you possibly can, you can take your time and look at the lie percentage so that you hit a better distance shot. So if you're in the heavy rough, you can take the time to just take that half second or so, look in the corner at the lie percentage, and you can see if you need to club up just once, if you have a really good lie out of there, or you need to club up 2 or 3 times.
So now, when you join into a match, what you're going to see, everybody, is that over here on the left, it'll show the course that you're playing, but you can hit RB on the controller on Xbox, and you can actually see the conditions. So that we're going to be in medium, southwest, very soft and slow conditions. So one of the big things, Jives, from your tips that stood out to me is think about your next shot after you hit your shot. Can you explain that a little more by what you mean by that and how players can use that to their advantage?
Absolutely. And this is more for like once you get a little more accustomed to the game mode and probably the game itself as well, if you are just now picking this up, that you need to like spend the short amount of time you have, like that 3-second countdown right there. That's the time, especially on this course right here, the first hole at Riviera, where you need to realize that driver is going too far. It's going in that rough between the fairways. So that 3-second countdown is the perfect time to think about where that shot's going to have to go. So you're going to club down as you did right there. And that's pretty much what you can do everywhere, because with having no fast forward at all throughout the entire game mode, that means you're going to be spending a lot of time just staring at a ball flying. And I can tell you right now, you're going to be a lot more successful if you think about what you might have on your next shot, like which direction the wind's going to be blowing, for example, or what club it might be. Like if it's around a 500-yard par 4 or so, you know that it's probably going to be at least like a 180 or so iron in.
Yep. And that's, I will, every viewer's watching, Jives gave me that tip, and it's helped me tremendously. And another thing that you saw on the green there, whenever the game defaults, I've noticed this, Jives, whenever the game defaults you to chip, it's always wrong. Well, what's the best way to approach the chip shot?
The best thing you can do, just club up like twice, maybe even 3 times, because you saw the settings at the very beginning of this where everything was as soft and as slow as it can be, and that really messes up with what the game wants you to do on chip shots. It makes them go like 3 yards too short at the least. So like if you're defaulted to like a full length lob wedge chip, like having to fly it about 7 or so yards on, you're going to need to fly it like at least 3 yards further than that, because your chip's not going to get there.
That was a perfect example of it, wasn't it? That hole right there.
Yep. Because these are the slowest greens you can possibly have on this game, and the softest conditions throughout you can have. And that means that the ball just dies immediately once you hit a chip shot. And good clubbing up, because that should run out pretty well.
And that was a good example of, Jives talked about it earlier. Hit the drive as quick as you can. I missed the fairway, but I already knew that I needed to club up, and clubbed up twice and then hit the shot. That was a really good example of Jives' tips there. So on the green there, I think so. Me and Jives approach the green a little bit differently. So I still move my aim cursor. I think about the break when I get to the green. I think, okay, it's going to be a left to right because I saw it as the ball was breaking. But I know, Jives, you do this a little bit different. Explain how you approach putting on the green.
All right. Yeah. What I do is probably a little bit more extreme. So I pretty much don't touch the aiming at all. I just move the swing plane off center like quite a bit, and a lot of the time it's not even to make it, it's just to get it somewhere close to the hole without having to waste half a second to a second on aiming. And I do the same thing on my approaches and my drives to counteract wind as well.
Now, how would you, so new players, that just played this mode may not be able to do the swing plane stuff. How would you recommend them to play the wind? Like, what would be the quickest way? Is it just, what I usually do is just aim a little bit in the other direction. But do you have like a tip specifically that you would recommend for beginners there?
Honestly, aiming's probably the way to go there, because pretty much the only way that you can really like affect the ball without like taking forever to set it up, which you don't want to do in this mode, is to either very quickly aim it like you tend to do, shank it on the swing plane, which I tend to do, or try to hit a intentional slow or fast tempo, which nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to do that, and that's the only other option aside from quickly aiming or like trying to set up a draw or fade, which is even longer. So if you're not confident that you can hit the swing plane like that or control the tempo like that, there's nothing wrong with aiming. Absolutely nothing. And I gotta say this as well, Gamer is also very, very good at this game mode, and that's with him aiming and taking that extra amount of time.
Yeah.
So there's definitely nothing that says that you need to do it, because you can still play very well in this game mode while just taking a little bit extra time to aim, because you can still hit good enough shots.
Oh my goodness, countdown is on. Someone aced this. Only one slot remaining.
Yeah, you did have a really good read on it, and you also had a really good idea of what to do with the power on that, which
Yeah,
that can be something that I can elaborate on a bit further, because
that would be great because
it's
it's tough, especially with the uphill. I've noticed with uphill putts and downhill putts is when I see kind of where you need to make adjustments.
yeah, because the way this game works is that all of the recommended putt distances, so like just however long the game suggests you to hit it, with like that white power percentage that you can see on this game mode, like that band under the bottom part of the screen that shows, for instance, like 43% power. That's what the game recommends you to hit on that. But it's often wrong, and the main reason for that is that all of the default distances only really care about being accurate around 144 speeds, and the game, this game mode, does not work on 144s. It's only on 101s.
That's a big tip, everybody, with putting, especially on this mode, because the worst thing you could do on an uphill putt is hit it exactly where it wants you to, and you just blast past the hole and lose. So some things that I do, I know, so Jives usually hits less on the percentage, which is one way to do it. I actually change my aiming very quickly. I take like 4 feet off of it, 3 to 4 feet real quick, and then I hit my shot. So there's a few different ways you can do that. Jives' way is definitely quicker, but if you can move it and are confident with your putt, the way I do it can be quick as well.
It's perfectly fine to go and do a method that takes a little bit more time to set up, as long as it's more consistent and you are still able to perform well with it. But a lot of the times, the most beneficial thing you can do is to just make sure that all the time that you can shave off in your setup and in your actual play is taken off, because ultimately this game is scored by timing, not by strokes.
Gamers, when you're out there and you're on the drives, right as that timer 3, 2, 1, you can hold down back that whole time and be ready to hit the shot and just flick forward as soon as it hits 0.
And there's also another tip that I've seen a lot of people use on drives, where they will, I believe it's holding one of the left buttons or the left trigger. I don't know which button it is off the top of my head, but that allows them to change the camera angle to a more aerial view, and that allows them to see the fairway as the countdown timer is going on. So what you can do with that is you can just immediately, like, if you don't remember what a hole does, you can just spend the couple of seconds before the tee shots start to go off and just looking at that, seeing if there's any like really bad hazards that you have to be aware of, and at the worst, you just have to avoid those hazards from that.
So let me try it this next hole. Oh, you can.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yep, like that.
Okay, that's really neat.
Continue.
So that one, Jives, when you hit that shot, do you eyeball, like if you had the 248, the hole was 243, I actually like moved my stick back for like a few seconds, and then that way I moved my power bar. Do you just kind of eyeball and need to say I need to take off about 8%, 10% and hit it?
Honestly, it's just a guess. I don't have anything mapped out for that, because I don't play for that normally. Like it's not like a 1-to-1 for percentages, so like 95% isn't going to give you exactly 95% of the carry distance that a 100% shot would.
Yeah, and you bring up another important point of what you said earlier, is that it's not about the quality of the shots, it's about the speed, so you don't have to be exact. You could just take a little bit off the power and not aim it. Here I'm actually using shot shaping, how I would normally play the shot, but I still was faster than my opponents. But if I was against Jives, you would already been blasting. And what do you say about, so the game gives you a default shot type. Do you usually stick? Is there ever a time, I can't think of a time I've ever actually changed the shot type from what the game gives me.
Yeah, it's way too much to try to figure out what shot type would be best. You're not gonna do that much better on like a 45-yard shot, especially time-wise, if you change over to a splash or a flop shot from there, when you could have just as easily immediately blasted away with a partial pitch shot.
Yep.
Again, it's not quality, it's speed.
So a big shout out and thank you to Jives for coming on to Gamerability and sharing a lot of tips and tricks for other virtual golfers. Be sure to click on the link in the pinned comment down below. It's twitch.tv/Jivesinator. You can see it right there on the screen. Give him a follow and watch him dominate in Divot Derby. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Keep in mind, this is part 1 of the tutorial for Divot Derby. There will be part 2, which will include a full round with me and Jives, to where Jives is going to talk through his shot process and you're going to see how he uses his swing plane to his advantage. So stay tuned for that video coming very soon. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like before you go and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all my new videos. Have a fantastic day and I'll see you soon.